And as we get into our final conversation for this hour, we're going to be looking at what Kenya needs to learn about fostering sustainable business growth. We've been having a couple of conversations around this, from the Ministry of Agriculture through to the Ministry of Industry, Trade, and the likes. We've been looking at, what Kenya actually does need. Today, we speak with Peter Mutinda, who is the president of the Africa, Asia and Middle East Chamber of Commerce, and he is our guest in the hot seat this morning. Good morning, Peter.
Good morning, dude.
How are you?
Very well. Thank you for having me.
Karibu sana. Welcome to the hot seat of the Situation Room.
Asante.
It's raining outside. It's a bit cool. Maybe, but what we're talking about this morning is a big ticket item, especially when we look at sustainable growth. So we thank you for being here with us this morning. As we normally do in the Situation Room, CT, this young strapping gentleman to your left, right, with your other left, whichever one you want, this morning, goes around the African continent every week, and he comes back with a proverb from a different country. Every week he will be in a different country. So he'll tell you which country he's in. He'll tell you what the proverb is. And then we ask that you interpret that for us and tell us what you think. Is that all right?
Awesome.
Fantastic.
Okay.
Peter.
Yes.
There's a country whose capital is called Libreville.
Libreville.
Have you heard of such a capital?
It's a familiar name.
Familiar name?
Yes.
Would you venture to guess the country it belongs to?
Not really.
Wise. It's the Gabonese Republic.
Gabonese?
Republic. The Republic of Gabon.
Yes.
Gabon.
Yes.
That's where our proverbs come from this week.
Okay.
The proverb: when a fool is cursed, he thinks that he is being praised.
That's an awesome one.
Okay, why do you think it is awesome?
Wow. Okay, it takes me back to, when someone is being praised, and then when it's being cast. Can you repeat again? When a fool is?
I will repeat it. Let me say it slowly. When a fool is cursed, he thinks he is being praised.
Exactly. So you are being praised, you're being cast, but you think you're being praised.
Yes.
What a paradox. What a paradox. So that qualifies somebody to be a fool, really.
So what do you think it means?
Well, it means somebody who has challenges in communication, reading the non-verbals, probably, reading the reality on ground. And therefore, you really mistake. Because, for sure, people can actually praise you in sarcasm. Yeah. They can also praise you to lead you to things that will bring a curse or failure or challenges in your life. Yeah. So, yeah, it boils down to the ability to decipher, to discern, to understand, where you are headed to. Yeah, people can praise you to curse, to failure, actually. It has happened in the political scene. It has happened in the business world on the entrepreneurs. It's happened even in countries. So, yeah, I think, you need to be able to read between the lines. Yeah, and so that's my take this morning.
Okay, well, read between the lines is, I guess, a good way to get into it this morning.
Yeah.
And so when we jump into our conversation for this morning, and we're looking at sustainable business growth for Kenya, for anybody really, and what is the direction that Kenya ought to be going into. So we're going to delve into some of that today. But let's start off from the very beginning in terms of definitions. When we talk about business growth and sustainability of it, what is that?
Wow, very good question. So what is sustainable in the first place, and what is business growth? So when you talk about sustainability, it means that it's going to be there tomorrow, okay? It's going to be there in the long haul. It is going to uphold the trajectory, the direction of growth, if we are talking about growth, especially what we are talking about this morning. So most of the time, we've had a burst of growth, the ups and downs, tantrums, and that has been a challenge, I think, for the better part of the historical economic growth in this country. and probably in many other parts of the world. So sustainability has to do with persistent, consistent policies, maybe, virtues, approaches that are going to affect, let's say, our GDP, our per capita, right? Things that are going to help finally improve the purchasing power of the common man. Yeah. And now when you go to economic growth, it's actually about those factors that I've just mentioned now. And that is the per capita, right? Currently we are talking about what? 2010 per year USD. You can say that in K shillings, maybe what? 260, depending on which rate you want to use. 260,000 per month, that would be like 21K. What we are saying is the per capita or the revenue that on average a Kenyan has.
Okay.
But when you look at the normal expenses, housing, food, is that sustainable? Yeah. So economic growth is going to impact these parameters. Yeah, that will finally impact the common manage, the Wajiku. Thank you. Yes.
Now, when you talk about sustainable economic growth, there are a lot of back-end things that have to be put in place. Let's talk about improving on infrastructure, having the correct policies, investing in digital frameworks that we need today for us to be able to say we have a sustainable economic growth. But these are also not easy. It's not cheap investment that need to go into it. So in terms of ensuring that this happens, what must Kenya do or learn from its peers?
Wow, that's a very good question. And I like the fact that, Dennis, you're already talking about it's not an easy road. I also like the fact that you're able to bring in the many aspects of it. Kenya has been so much on the agricultural approach. They say agriculture is the backbone of the economy for many, many years. That's what we say. But you've talked about the digital economy, right? You're bringing in a manufacturing industry. Yeah. And you know what? The first thing that we need to understand is that when we compare with most economies in the world, it takes time to get to a level where the citizens can feel the impact of the economy. That patience is required. There has been a lot of bickering between the government, the politicians and politics, and the economists. There's been a lot of that happening. Today, are we able to ask ourselves, what is the common mwananchi supposed to do so that they contribute to this?
Contribute to what? The bickering?
The growth of the economy. I think we have already contributed to that. I love the joke.
What can the mwananchi do to contribute?
Yes, the common man.
Yes, but the question I would ask is, what more can they do? Because the common mwananchi is already doing what he can. See, what you do is determined by the field that enables you to do the things that are supposed to be done. If the opportunities for doing certain things are not easily available, then much as you may want to do these things, you won't. Because if you're talking about just the fundamentals of what you call manpower development or human resource, we have it in plenty.
We're exporting it.
Yes, we have it. But do we have an economy that can absorb the human resource that we have meaningfully? Because if the economy can, then it would mean that the growth we speak of and the sustainability of it would be easy. Simply because you would have all these trained people contributing to answer your question. An enabling environment that makes it possible for all the bodies that exist within our boundaries to actually find something meaningful to do. That would bring about what you've just asked. But that doesn't exist.
Thank you very much.
Or if it exists, it exists in such small quantities that Yeah, it exists in small quantities.
Small quantities.
Okay, can we demystify this? What is this exists in small quantities? Because I know everybody has talked about what the taxman, what the government, the politicians are not doing. So what are these things that we can say the common man has already done and needs to improve, has, they're down a bit? Can we just break it down?
I can break it down for you. I can break it down for you very easily.
With a lot of energy, I can see.
No. Paying taxes is what they do, but they pay taxes from what they have. And even when they don't have, they still pay taxes because it's indirect taxes.
Yes.
If you board a public vehicle, you're paying taxes.
Yes.
Okay? Whatever cost the owner of that vehicle has in terms of fuel and maintenance, it is passed on to you. You, the person who boards that, are the one who will eventually pay for it.
Okay.
If you are able to take your child to school so that the future is guaranteed, this population of well-educated people is a continuum, you are contributing. If you are a citizen and you participate in the activities of the economy as best as you can and as are available to you, you are contributing. If having contributed, you then, whether it is in your county government or the national government, you have a situation where the enabling environment, which is brought about by being paid for what you've done, doesn't happen, and the conversation is not being paid but pending bills, then clearly your participation is thwarted. You cannot participate, even if you want to. If you have the money for which you worked, then it means you can do more work. If you can do more work, then it means you are growing the economy. That's a simple mwananchi. A simple mwananchi has money to do a job, they engage others. Those whom they engage others. It is what you call a vortex. And that thing keeps rotating round and round. And in the process, money is produced and more money is produced.
But this is the thing, isn't it? And just coming back to you that the majority are the ones on the other ends and not really in the midst of figuring out what happens with the country's economy. But they do contribute to it. Literally, like CT has said, everything that you do, you will spend or pay something in terms of taxes. You wake up in the morning, you leave your house. Whatever transport you're entering into, whether you're entering into public transport or into your own vehicle, if you buy fuel, you're contributing. If you have a meal that day when you wake up in the morning, by virtue of the fact that you've bought food, you're contributing. You purchase anything through the day, you're contributing.
You pay your house rent.
You pay your house rent, somebody's getting a tax off of that. Everything you do, literally, you contribute. Even if your children are in a school whereby the government is paying for it, that has come from you. And we also know what the trend is, that you're probably going to pay a little bit extra because government is not paying everything that they should pay in terms of capitation. So literally, it's a cycle of contribution from people. So in terms of it being sustainable, so long as there are people in Kenya, if their contribution is being made, it is being sustained by virtue of the fact that
Kenya Revenue Authority would have no conversation about targets and meeting it if the citizenry were not contributing.
Absolutely.
They would set targets and they would probably just tax themselves and we'd see how far that would go. The fact that you talk of trillions that are actually collected, there's no better testimony than that. That the citizen has participated meaningfully. And if that participation is reduced in terms of the money, then it means that the activities that would have generated that money have also reduced. Because those economic activities guarantee employment. Employment comes with payments. Payments come with people. People come with spending. The logic behind it is easy and simple to understand. And in the absence of that, everything that we're talking about then either has a downward spiral or at the very best is stagnant, but it doesn't go up. So when I talked about an enabling environment is one where this growth that we're speaking of can be seen and it continues.
Yes.
Okay, so let me ask, while we are at it, when you look at the regimes since independence for this country, of course, the Kenyatta one, Moi, then Kibaki, then Kenyatta 2, then thank you, Dennis, then Ruto, right? Ruto 1, okay.
So
You've added 1, eh?
Kenyatta 2 times 2.
Kenyatta 2 times 2. When you look at those regimes historically and talk about enabling environment, a city is insisting, right? who can you say? And I know the answer is like written on the wall. What can you say has really created an enabling environment of those guys? And why? Let's demystify that so that we see what can the citizens do and what can they do. Because where I'm driving to, I'm driving to is, if we're in this room and there's something I'm able to push myself, there's something I can only push when the three of you hold on. And I realize the three of you are not really doing that. But there's still something I can do more. Did I not go that direction? But I don't want to. I just want first we break it down, come historically, and
please
then you can
So
that point.
ask your question again, because clearly you have decided we are the guests and you're the host. So ask us. All right, ask us the question.
No,
yes.
thank you.
Yeah, how I look at it is the enabling environment has already been created by the people, because it is the people through their taxes that have enabled all these governments to be able to exist. It is through the government, through the people, that the governments exist, through the people that governments do whatever it is they do in terms of paying salaries, schools are built, hospitals are functioning. And which begs the question, what more can the citizens do? Because they have created that sustainability and an enabling environment for the government to exist. But what is the government doing with the resources given by the people for the economy to grow from where the citizens have put it? That's the big question. Because we talk about infrastructure, we talk about digital economy. The citizens have already given their taxes. The government is to take these taxes and improve on the infrastructure and the digital economy for this economy to be sustainable and continue growing. So, what's your question again?
Thank you very much. I see where you're going. But first, for these regimes which you've talked about, can we demystify and break one of them that stands out? It creates enabling environment now from the government, from
Please
the authorities.
Please do.
Which one is that?
You break it down.
Oh, you tell us.
Everybody says Kibaki. I don't know whether you're in agreement with that.
What would be the things that you would be able to look at under this administration then that made the economy sustainable, that made business growth sustainable under Kibaki?
Kibaki, if I can say, and I'm saying that because everybody quotes him. Every regime that comes in, after him, they always
do you quote him?
They are referencing to him.
So you don't believe the things people say, but you're saying it because people say it.
Whether I believe or not, I think it's going to come out.
Okay.
As the conversation goes on.
Let's hear from you in terms of what you thought that to be.
I think Kibaki did not so much, but he just allowed people to be in terms of the economy. Yeah. If you check well, there was very, very little mouthing, talking from that office, the presidency actually that time. Yeah. He built confidence. And you see also when he was coming in, there was 24 years of Moera, right? So there was also confidence in the people. We have waited for changes, Like some of us, I think, since I was born, I only knew one head of state, right? That's the only thing I knew. And so when change came, it was more of the citizens in Kibaki's time than anything else. In that, there was finally changes here. And there was what? Belief, faith, what you want to say. The things that he had promised, people embraced them. And they ran with them. And he didn't interfere much. That's what I can say. But it was more of the citizens. Finally, maybe they believed there was oppression, right? There was oppression and all that. Finally, changes come. Yeah. And therefore, people were doing their business. Because most of the people, when you hear today, I have heard even the politicians, I have heard them saying that, you know what, I meant more money. Some of them are even members of parliament, it's unbelievable. I meant more money in my hustle, Kibaki time. All right? So what happened? I did what? I meant money. Okay? I'm the president of Asia-Africa Chamber, Africa-Asia Middle East Chamber of Commerce, called AAMECC. We do networking events, corporate. Like 13th of March, this Thursday, 4 to 10 at Kemvisky. We are bringing in investors and delegates from all over. Holland, Italy, Malaysia itself, and all that. This is our personal initiative. Of course, we are public entity in the fact that we are limited. It's an entity limited by guarantee, but it is us without the government being involved, right? I know of an Italian who is doing quite a big investment without involving any government or anything here. Our own initiatives, because we have gone to Malaysia, interacted with them. We have gone online and looked for what and where. So what I'm trying to say is, and what I'm driving to today is this: if when any regime comes in. We used to complain Moi time. Kibaki came in, right? We had a lot of confidence. But that is the time many people died, the post-election violence. It's good to be realistic.
That was during the second term.
The second term, right? Is it? Meaning, guys were saying, you have not won, we need you out.
Yes.
Were we not seeing the economy, the things are done in the economy? What I'm trying to say is, we were still complaining. After some time, we started, right? Okay, a lot of issues, a lot of bloodshed, and of course, that thing came biting our economy, right? Yeah, it came biting our economy. Fast forward, Uhuru comes, is it? Then we started, it's a dynasty, right? And we had all our complaints and everything that happened. Ruto is in now. What is happening now? Everybody knows what's going on everywhere, right? Yeah. So my question is, and I'm trying to like bring some paradigm shift here. What I'm trying to say is, what can the locals do other than the murmuring and all that? Because you know very well, when politicians, I've heard, I don't know, Honorable Millie Diambo here, I've heard him saying that they are looking for power. I think I went through some of your situation room interviews here. The politicians, when they go up there, they're looking for power, is it? It is very true. They want power. It will come with money. It will come. They sort their own things as well. But what can the common Mwananchi do? We have already the Gen Z era, right? We saw the power that comes in. That you can actually, the finance bill can come down by the Gen Z, is it? How about the same energy and power, right? We focus on doing things that we can do now.
Such as what? I really want to know what are those things that we're talking about? Yeah. Focusing energy on doing what?
Thank you very much. He mentioned digital economy. Did he mention that?
But who comes up with the policies and the infrastructures?
No, but actually do. I think a lot of times we wrap this up in, some ambiguous statements.
Very ambiguous.
But practically, when we say that you can contribute towards a sustainable economy, what can you do? What are you telling me to do? Are you saying open a business? Are you saying do work from home, rework? What are we actually saying that you can actually do more as a common citizen that is going to contribute to this sustainable economy?
Thank you very much. I think we're getting to the gist of it.
Let me just add, top up on what Andu is saying. If you look at the European Union as we speak, they have put in place an act called the Digital Services Act. And what this does is it enables the techies in that country to come up with the technological infrastructure that is supported by the European Union. This, you see, is a policy that has been given power by all the 27 countries there. As we talk about digital economy in Kenya, begs the question, has the government put in place infrastructure? And by this, I mean, do we have a policy that is backed by funds, intentional funds, to help this economy grow?
Wow.
To enable me as a tech-savvy individual come up with all this infrastructure that is needed?
I'll take that, Dennis. The first question is the policies in this country, because policies can come as an impediment. We just want to agree. First, we need to agree that you can come up with the policies which are going to cripple people. So in the digital economy, if we can a little bit dwell there, because we are agreeing there are parameters, there are pillars that can contribute to economic growth, which is sustainable. We have been in agriculture and it has been helping us, right? But we need to improve that. Now we need to go to digital economy. We can go to manufacturing and foster that one as well. Gig economy, they call it. We can also get into that, and it's happening. But now, the policies that are there. Kenya, I was talking to somebody from London about M-Pesa, right? And I was so proud saying that this mobile money thing you see sweeping the whole world. Do you know it began in my country? Do you know the first thing? I mean, we were the first people got really, really established on mobile banking, mobile money. Yeah. Why did that happen? Because the policies which exist allowed this to happen. Hello? There was, because what happens is somebody can come and say, come on, this thing you're going to do is going to affect our country. I don't know, this money you're transacting where and where. And we know there was a lot of lobbying against that as well. But it still happened, right? So today, if we were to demystify that thing of digital economy, what challenges can we say the government has put? Because we'll go to funding, because funding is another whole thing, right? This one side of the policies that control that. What can we say the government has put that is impeding, not allowing? Because I see a lot of things happening, actually. Most people are working online now. I know most of my friends are working online for other countries. I've seen people go to other countries to work and all that, right? So, bringing a policy, what is that policy supposed to do? Is it about finance only? Because that's another item we need to discuss on the table. But is there an environment where you can wake up today and you are a TikToker, for example, you're doing your gig thing, and nobody's is interfering with that in terms of the authorities?
Kenyans
is that the truth or not?
Kenyans are doing that, yeah.
Kenyans are doing that, even in the streets, right?
Yeah.
Because I go to town and I find guys are taking things, because I was wondering what is going on. For long I've not been in town, right? Yeah. So I come from the school of thought of what can we do? Now that these guys, they come in, we complain, they go. They come in, they complain, they go. What is the end game?
Perhaps we elect
what is
good
the end
leaders.
game?
Coming from the earlier definitions of what makes something sustainable is that you should be able to keep and improve on an action over time. And so when we're looking at things that you would input into an economy and say it's going to grow, whether we're talking about manufacturing, whether you're going to talk about, import exports, whether you're going to talk about agriculture, whatever it is that you're going to say, that you will be able to continue to, number one, create a conducive environment, have the necessary inputs, and then outputs carried out over time. That's what sustainability is, essentially.
Sure.
Now we're saying that the people who are in the majority have a role to play in this beyond the taxes that they pay.
Yes.
I'm asking, what is that?
Thank you very much. First should be the attitude, the paradigm shift. I am an employer, and I learned many years ago, 17 years in the bank, Standard Chartered Barclays, I learned many years ago from my seniors that you hire attitude before you go to the skills. And that was to really, really be useful for me outside here in the corporate world. Now, because look at this, some of us, we come from some economies and backgrounds whereby you had to work your way up, right? I could have blamed my late dad. I could have blamed my mom. I could have blamed where I was born. But I just decided, what? I'm going to work my way out. Yeah. First, I think I'm the first to go to university from my mom's side and from my dad's side. But I could have followed the track, everybody. So I'm coming from that, saying these regimes that come and go all the time, okay, how can the Kenyan do other than... So, let me ask you a question. I said Ruto 1 and I said Ruto and then he said Ruto 1, right? And all that, is it? Ruto 2 coming and all that. So, Ruto will be here, President Ruto will be here and then he gone, right? So, do I sit here and mama and complain about the government until they go? Right? Or...
Why not?
Now talk. I like this.
You see,
let's go.
You see, the mamas that you're talking about... is not
sorry.
normal. It is
You're joking, are you?
Yeah,
It is
She's waiting.
It is Kenyans communicating and demanding the best from the government that they put in place. Those are not mamas. It is a situation that the Republic, Kenyans, have realized the power that they do have in making sure that right is done by them.
Yes.
When we talk about sustainable business growth, we talk about improving business regulations and governance, ease of doing business. Is the government today making it easier for businesses to thrive in this country? We can have a debate on that. Is the government today, when we talk about anti-corruption measures, we know of companies who have wanted to set up in this country but have bolted and left this country, taken businesses to our neighboring countries because what? The government is not fighting corruption each and every other time. There are issues to do with corruption and getting kickbacks. So when we talk about the mamas, the citizenry have every right to mama and complain if right is not being done by them.
Actually, Dennis, because Do is raring to go.
No, I still want you to answer my question. I can ask, they say 3 is a charm, but I can ask it again.
Please go.
What is it that people in the country are supposed to do beyond paying taxes that's going to contribute to a sustained economic growth?
Given the environment, I heard somebody you were doing here was talking about context all the time. Context, given the environment that Kenya has been since independence, of complaining and murmuring for legit reasons, because I want to qualify that. I want to qualify that. That does not mean if you complain of like an investor coming this country and because of kickbacks they have to go to neighboring.
Should Kenyans murmur at that point?
Those are real you murmur. But do you stop at murmuring? Let me ask you a question. Will murmuring bring food on the table?
You murmur and the demand for what is right.
Yes, as you demand, what happens?
You're still paying taxes.
And as you pay tax?
As you pay taxes, you hope for better policies.
Exactly. As you're pushing for the policies, what I'm trying to say is, because we've been doing this, I like the look I see in the room. Guys, I wish you could see what I'm saying here. So, I like the look. As you push for these policies, okay, as you push for this government to do, what else are you doing at an individual level, at organization level? Because I have fought.
You expect us to do something.
And so this is where I'm hoping we can get there.
This thing you expect us to do, what is it?
Let me use the example of a foreigner coming here, because that's our tough. Those are things we do.
Okay.
Recently, we brought some guys from Italy, okay? Why? It's in multi-sectors. He's in agriculture, he's in power and everything, right? I had to pick and follow the lawyer who's going to do this stuff for him, right? Walk to him, to the government offices and all that. And for sure, there are those battles of what? Kickbacks and all those things. Yes. But I am saying, this guy, sustainability, can I tell you something? Sustainability has to be on both sides. Yeah? If you talk about this international trade thing, if these guys are going to come and invest in this country, right, don't play them. I started with the lawyer. I actually told the lawyer, if you overcharge this guy, tomorrow he's settled here, he's going to know what you did, right? It's not going to be sustainable. If you go to the government and you have forced those kickbacks, because it's government and ourselves, right? Just because this guy shows up in an advocate office and is a Mzungu guy, he's overcharged, right? So this thing, people have to be very intentional in what they do. We walk to the government and I will be saying, you know what, this guy needs to do something, and we fight that battle. And if you make it difficult for them, yeah, part of the shouting. I may not be a Gen Z on the streets going there, right? But we are going to fight in the offices, right? I'm going to work with this guy in those offices and convince and push them that we are together. And things have actually worked, right?
That means you're also just murmuring like the kawaida mwananchi. You're just taking the murmuring in the offices, so you're not any better. But the question then is, let's talk about the government investing in making sure that we have ease of doing business. Do we see that? That is where the rubber meets the road.
If we flip it this other side, these are two parties. Is each party doing their part? The government has work to do, for the record. Okay?
So what's this
the government has work to do. One is clear those corruptions. You know we are coming from somewhere, right? Corruption, whether in government offices, whether in ourselves. And who are those people working in the government? Because every time I walk in the office, believe you guys, I'm involved in these things. If I walk into an office, who is demanding that kickback? Is it not a Kenyan? Whose kids are Gen Zs and are going to the streets there and going? So before you get to the presidency and you get to everybody, is these things, if you are going to the Minister of Agriculture, if you are going to the Minister of Trade and Investment, who is this person who is being, asking for the kickback in the first place? So that kasuba, that thing that is within us, all of us, we have to do these things, needs to be cleared. But then the government has a lot of responsibility to doing this. Yeah? All that I'm saying is, since we have pushed and pushed and pushed, right? What can we do? Is there something, as this happens, I'm just pulling in, I'm saying, as we go to the streets, because, for example, the agency went to the streets, right? The finance bill came down, right? Good enough. Is it? Then?
You tell us.
You want something more?
Then, coalition, right? Then, many things, eh? Oh, sorry. You see the government? You see what is happening now? So, let me ask you, what can you say is the accomplishment of the Gen Z that is tangible now? The finance bill fell, which had tangible things that Kenyans had a problem with. That is true. I agree. Tangible things. But what has it contributed? The whole thing, up to today. And I think, because I believe it was a genesis of the many things today. The broad-based government, the MOUs that has happened. I think it was like,
But you've answered the question you've asked.
Yes.
You've actually answered it. It brought about change. Change that was probably not anticipated.
Yes.
Because a lot of things happened after that.
Okay.
But the change wouldn't have taken place if what they were agitating for didn't resonate with the rest of the public.
Yeah.
They simply acted out what other people were thinking or saying or murmuring.
Yes.
But they acted it out.
Yes.
Within the law.
Within
the law. But they also, in so doing, they also exposed the underbelly of the government. Because when the government reacted, one then saw a side of the government.
The other side. Yes.
That had not been seen with the clarity that it was seen.
Yes.
And that now forced other changes that have come and others which are yet to come. Because the thing about change is it has its own momentum.
Yes.
Once it starts,
yes,
it's like a runaway train or probably a train that's going downhill. It gathers momentum as it moves along. But the question is this. We see the momentum. But whether we like it or not, there is a huge role the government has to play.
Yes.
Huge. Because they are the repository of all the monies that they take from us in terms of taxes. And it's them who decide with their budgeting and the needs where this money should go. Okay?
Yes.
So now the question is, this is me asking you now, how do we get the government to use the money for the purposes it was intended? Because when you look at the money that we spend, if indeed they were spent for the purposes that they were intended for, there are many things in this country that
be miles away, isn't it?
Yes.
Actually, now that's the other side of the coin. When you talk about corruption, right? The millions of money we see in corruption scandals. So if that money was put in an industry like the digital economy that we are talking about, what impact can it do? Because part of the economic growth, and if it's also health, right? If that money was put into SHA, for example, what would happen? Because a healthy nation, is a productive,
nation,
nation. So those actually, when you say digital manufacturing, somebody should put health there. Yeah, because when you're healthy, you're vibrant, you're strong, and all that.
So I hear you say, essentially, that government has a primary role in ensuring that any economic growth that it goes about must be sustainable. The primary role here is government.
Correct.
Because government's job is not to create jobs. Government's job is not to make sure that people can start their businesses. Government's job is to ensure that a conducive environment exists where all of these things can happen.
The word is conducive.
So,
yes,
the people existing in this vortex do what they're supposed to do, and they try to live within the law and try to keep their leaders accountable. But the primary role here belongs to government. So when we're talking about then sustainable growth and development, the primary practitioners of this sustainable growth then is government, is it not?
That's correct. In terms of enabling, in terms of conducive environment,
and also in terms of making sure that billions of shillings don't disappear in corruption, also making sure that your debt doesn't go through the roof, also making sure that development projects, which you said would become development projects, actually exist. So it's beyond just that their job is that, but their accountability metrics is to make sure that these other things that we're seeing every day don't happen.
Very true.
Because if I could also just pick up from where Ndu has left it. You remember when the government was coming into place, they promised a digital superhighway. And if we sit today and Kenyans, as you call them, mama, that has not happened, is because they are telling the government, Ola, you told us this. It has not happened. We demand that you do that. That goes back to the digital economy that we are talking about. But as well, we talk about the Africa free trade area that exists in this region. And you are the president of Africa, Middle East and Asia. And Africa free trade area has not achieved what it ought to achieve because of policies that the governments have failed to put in place. That means the government is squarely failing Kenyans in having that sustainable economic growth that ought to be there. You agree?
I am in agreement. The government has a big role, a major role to play in this. Okay? The only thing that I've been emphasizing in this engagement is that as we run and push them and succeed, in some of the elements like the finance bill, as we do that, let's not forget this other side. That's because when there's you are bound to be distracted.
Okay, I'm hoping that we're going to get there because I think let's go for 4. This other side, what is this other side and what is it that they're supposed to be doing? You said let's not forget this other side. Who's that? And what is it that they're meant to do?
Me and you?
What is that? What are we meant to do?
What should we do? What should you do?
Thank you very much. What am I doing? Probably. What am I doing?
Yeah.
So,
and not in your position as the president of the Chamber of Commerce, you as Peter.
So me as Peter, and of course I can't divorce the two, but as Peter, I'm privileged. I'm privileged to be in a chamber.
Yes.
Because what does it mean? You have entrepreneurs on board. People who are, it's a membership organization. So people who are coming here, there are people who are doing business. All right. I'm also privileged to be across border, right? To see, other economies and to engage economies from other parts of the world, Africa and Asia and the Middle East, as you can see. Now, if the common Kenyan, in the midst of what is going on, they resolve, and some have done, honestly. Of course, let me ask you a question.
They resolve.
Have you had people in countries like Tanzania having a problem with Kenyans being there?
Yes.
Have you had that?
Yes.
What do you make of that?
Because you're competitive.
That they have a problem.
We're very
with
competitive.
Kenyans.
Is it?
It's that they have a problem with Kenyans.
Exactly. Is it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I look at it on the economic side. Can you look at our GDP and their GDP?
Well, you look and tell us, what do you see?
What do you see?
Of course, it's far much better.
Ours is better than theirs?
Yes.
No.
Yes. No. Okay, let's start there. What is
Qualify yourself.
what is their per capita?
I have no idea.
Okay, I don't have the numbers. I wouldn't want to go there. But what you need to check is their GDP, go down to their per capita. Because when you compare, you need to compare like for like. Okay? Kenyan economy still stands the best economy in East Africa. Not that it doesn't have struggles, but it is black and white. Kenyan economy is the biggest economy in East Africa.
Then East Africa is doing badly.
And it has to do... No. The way I've said numbers, we need to get to your numbers. You need to check it to your numbers. But you see, because of the things that have been happening.
You know this thing that Kenyans like talk about how big the economy is, how they're educated, how they're what. So what? I mean, honestly, so what? I mean, look, when people talk about those advantages, they need to reflect in the common denominator, who is the mwananchi you began the conversation with. Meaning certain things should be taken for granted. If we're this big an economy, we should be able to access healthcare without a wrinkle.
Yes.
Children should be able to access quality education without a wrinkle. Okay? When we talk about the rains coming down here, and you find that the county governments hadn't even, we knew it was going to rain, given that we knew the drainage system that is supposed to carry the water, has it been cleaned? Can the water flow? We'll find, not puddles, we'll find rivers on our roads. I'm simply saying this. I am not enamored with this thing about Kenya and how big and how wonderful and how Kenya is a wonderful country because the people of Kenya are wonderful people.
Yes.
Okay?
Agree.
But the economy and the story around it, why you find me saying what I'm saying as I'm raising my voice, it could be 10 times what we are saying. Why are we happily patting ourselves in the back with mediocrity? What are we doing saying this is a wonderful thing? And yet there's nothing that shows that Kenya is moving towards industrialization. Tanzania is.
If you look at their improvement, their growth, it's better than us.
They are. And if you look at the development, you look at, say, their railway line, which is electric, by the way, just so in case people don't know, and where it goes to, everything is purposed. They are ensuring that whatever they are building, the infrastructure, will be an integral part of their development towards industrialization. When you look at the Julius Nyerere hydroelectric dam, which is going to be bigger than the Renaissance Dam in terms of capacity, that is what it's for. So they have the infrastructure that will enable them to leapfrog and overtake us with ease. That's the point I am making. So when we say we have a bigger economy, okay, keep saying it.
We have a bigger economy on the books and papers, looks really good. But that as well should trickle down to the mwananchi. I stopped calling them common mwananchi. To the mwananchi, if it makes sense to them. Because today mwananchi says we are overtaxed, but we see no results. We are overtaxed, our money is getting stolen. And when they murmur, it's because they're calling for what? for accountability. When we talk about economic growth needs a government that looks at its people and intentionally puts in place policies, infrastructure development that will make their lives better. Are we seeing that from the side of the government? Question for another day.
This
We're all for now.
that you belong to, if I may ask.
Sorry?
The Chamber of Commerce that you belong to.
Yes.
It sounds like it's big and it sounds like it's all encompassing. Given the membership that has been mentioned,
Yes.
how does that help in driving the economic growth in this country?
Sustainable.
Very good. Very, very good question. So, in chamber, proudly, what you asked me to speak about today, or the engagement topic today, the chamber stands for fostering sustainable trade, innovation, and investment. That is AAMECC, Africa, Asia, Middle East Chamber of Commerce. So the word is sustainable. Okay. Now, when you have to do this, then it involves activities. One of the main activities that we bring in is networking. Okay. What is networking? It's about information, right? I need to know Dennis has this, do as that, my brother here has this, and what is the difference? What can I do? One time I was in Malaysia, and I was doing coffee with someone, and then we engaged a little bit. We went through tea and all that. Then I realized these guys, they import their coffee from Sri Lanka then. I don't think it's happening anymore. Yeah. When I followed, I realized the guys in Sri Lanka, they will take our tea from Kenya, right? They will go and blend with theirs and all that. They import to other countries, like from Sri Lanka. And it is branded grade 1, okay, which is now ours. Then they will mix with theirs, it's now grade 2, okay. Then theirs fully is now grade 3, and they sell to other countries. So the question was, do Kenyans know you can export this directly to Malaysia? And Malaysia, for over many years, there has been no visa requirement for you to travel there.
True.
So I find it's about information. People don't know that, okay. Right now, we even have a direct flight from there to here.
Yes.
You understand? So one of the things we do is information.
Right.
People getting to know, right? Of course, now you'll go to advocacy and all that. Then advocacy is now when you talk about the policies which have been put. For example, the middleman who has been between the farmer and who is getting the money, who is getting the big chunk. Then the farmer is discouraged. Then tea bushes are being cut down at the end of the day. There are such things happening.
So all of these conversations are some of the ones that you'll be having come Thursday when you have this big networking event, essentially, isn't it?
Yes, on 13th of March, on Thursday, we have investors and the speakers coming from Holland, Italy, Malaysia, Belgium, yeah, even the ambassador of Malaysia will be there, the peers of trade will be there, yeah. So these are the things we'll be engaging. But much more, what are we doing? It is called CEO Conclave and the Investors Dinner. So we're inviting the leaders, the CEOs, the MDs, the entrepreneurs to be attending the event, okay? And when they come, what do? It is open networking, right? Yeah. Nobody is going to tell you to keep some information in between there so that they can benefit and put a margin for you. Yeah. So those are some of the things that we are involved in, and we believe each individual can contribute.
Yes.
And we are not saying stop, the button that Kenyans were pressing, pushing the policymakers and the government to. We're not saying that.
Keep pushing.
We'll keep pushing them. And then on this other side of the coin, yourself, please work hard, gain more knowledge, capacity building for yourself, right? Network with other people. Network with people from other countries, right? Right now, most of the Kenyans, the youth, there are people who are writing theses and proposals for people from whichever country. Yeah. I had had some taxation coming on that side. It has not happened.
I hear you. I mean, it's great to have these conversations. And we want to thank you for being here to share with us this morning. Peter Mutinda is the president of the Africa, Asia and Middle East Chamber of Commerce. And he's been here with us as we discuss sustainable economic growth, what Kenya can learn.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.